The lead up to Black Saturday involved the ingredients all coming together for a major fire event. An extended drought, a high pressure system that created a huge heat wave, and then a strong cold front moving through. So very strong northerly winds, particularly over Victoria and southern New South Wales. At this stage, the potential was still for a fire event in New South Wales and particularly southern New South Wales. And so this was an online piece I developed for that week beforehand. Eventually, of course, it was Victoria.
I went to the southwest of New South Wales because of the intense heat. The storms that were going to develop there because of a heat trough, because of the intense heat, were of interest to me because they were going to be high-based, they weren't going to provide a lot of rain, and they were going to provide a lot of lightning strikes. Apart from that, they also provided microbursts, which were very strong winds. The first frame that you saw shows a dust storm being pushed ahead of the microburst. Those storms did create bushfires, one around Temora, which was pretty difficult to get hold of. In fact, they lost control of it during the night, when you'd think the conditions would be easiest. But the storms, with their winds, outflow winds coming from multiple directions, created very difficult conditions for them during the night. The next morning they surrounded the bushfire and started hitting it with firefighting aircraft. These aircraft were essential because they were able to bomb spot fires that were in areas out of access. A very strong storm developed on Wednesday near Lithgow. This storm became quite explosive and dropped 3 centimetre hail at one stage. It did drop some rain, but it dropped a lot of lightning north of Lithgow, and firefighters were pretty concerned about that. In fact, it did start 6 or 7 bushfires north of Lithgow. On Thursday, I went with the New South Wales Rural Fire Service in one of their helicopters. These helicopters they use to track storms and see where the lightning drops, spotting fires before they become too dangerous. As we were heading to the area north of Lithgow to look at the fires, we got a call that a storm around the area of Hilltop, which is southwest of Sydney, had started some fires. We went there, and sure enough, a couple were started already. And these are potentially dangerous, especially assuming the coming weekend temperatures were going to be in the mid-40s and the winds were going to be coming from the north to northwest. From all that I've seen this week, Sydney could be in for quite a bad weekend. It's got high temperatures, high winds, hasn't been bushfires for quite a while, so there's plenty of fuel. So hopefully Sydney might get through this weekend.
Although the conditions were nowhere near as bad as they were in Victoria, a couple of fires did break out in the Sydney region, particularly this one in Pete's Ridge. Still very hot temperatures, and the heat column being driven into the face of the firefighters, and you can see there's not a lot there, made it for some quite difficult firefighting for the early stages of this fire.
Down south, I mean up north.
As you can see, there's a number of spot fires occurring, even in these conditions where there wasn't actually very strong winds here. It was very fuel-driven fire. However, the grass was so dry that sparks and embers were starting up fires left, right and centre. It was hard work, as you can see, by the thick smoke and the struggle to breathe, and just the weight and difficulty of hauling around heavy hoses.
water.
As the evening approached, it became obvious that something really bad had occurred in Victoria, and so the next day I was sent down to the northern Victorian fires, so around Beechworth, and so these are some of the images shot around there. And then there's some helmet cam here of when I came in to what's called Flowerdale, which is just north of Kinglake, where one of the worst fires occurred. So this is just going through some of the debris and burnt out areas. It was a chilling sight, just seeing an area that had been pretty green, and just fire had come down the hill, and just downhill for a fire is a pretty big deal. It really requires some very strong winds to do that.